Welcome back to Mortgage Daddies. 2025 is officially over and we're on to 2026. I think 2025 was a pretty good year. What do you think?
Yeah, business-wise, 2025, we were able to double our production from year over year from 24. So we finished the year about $635 million in loans closed. So kudos to everybody at the Milestone team. You guys rocked it this year. And 2026, man, the sky's the limit on this one. I think, if you don't put it out into the world, I tell people, if you don't put your goals out there so everybody can kind of laugh at you and put you down. When we sat down, we put out the $600 million goal for 2025. There's a lot of people that even internally were like, these guys are crazy. And then we hit it. So I think 2026, we put it out the goal, 2,400 units for 1.1 billion. So we have our work cut out for us. But, if you don't set your goals high, what do you strive for?
I'm Vernon. I run the top mortgage brokerage in Massachusetts with over 20 years of experience.
I'm Craig. I've done $100 million consistently since my second full year in the business, and I'm Massachusetts' top mortgage broker. We're the Mortgage Daddies, with real advice, real stories, and real results.
Let's get going.
Somebody used to always say, shoot for the moon, land on a star, right? No matter what, you're going to end up winning. I won't be happy if we hit like $1.05 billion if we're that close, but I think 1.1 billion it's a fetch, it's a stretch. It's going to be a lot of hard work from the 100+ employees that we have here. We're going to have to, recruit and continue driving and dominating and keep doing the things that we do well here.
Yeah. I think anybody that hit their goals in 2025 was a pretty good year. It wasn't super easy. And I don't think most people can probably say that they did better than they expected in 2025 in this market, and I think that just really stems from the culture that we have here, from the top down. Nobody really has that attitude, which I find, and I see it a little bit in some of the real estate offices that we work at, or you talk to people and it's just like, they get so down, like, oh, the market's this, rates are this, and they almost just throw in the towel before they even start. Yeah. And there's still plenty of business out there. You just have to work a little bit harder to go get it.
Yeah. Listen, you're the epitome of consistency, right? You've consistently done over $100 million for the last 6 years.
120, but who's
120 million consistently. Seeing those numbers at $10 million a month on average, month in, month out, like kudos to what you've done and the growth that you've had. And honestly, I know where you're trying to go in 2026, which is awesome. It's an insane goal you set for yourself. But I really enjoy, and I know you know this about me, is seeing the person who's come over to Milestone or never been in the business. Their best year is 6-7 million. And, seeing some of those guys in 2024, do 15 million. And then 2025, they're doing 25, 27, 28 million. And now I'm on the phone talking to them and going over goal setting for 2026. And they're telling me that their goals are like 40. Some of them had $50 million goals. And deep down in places I don't usually want to talk about, I know for a fact if they work for 12 months out of the year and don't take, large time off, you just take a couple days here, take a week off for vacation, everybody's got to do that. They're going to hit those goals, right? The processes, the procedures that we have in place, the people we have in place, I think we're really set up to do, that 1.1 billion without a lot of crazy growth, right? Obviously we're going to need some help with the market and inventory. I think all those things have kind of slowed down the conversation, right? I'm not hearing a lot about rates anymore. Like, rates are what they are. They always have been. Everybody just needs to get it out of their heads. The inventory is definitely freed up. So I'm really looking at 2026 as this is a banner coming out year. Like, I think a lot of people, even internally myself, like you and I are almost cut from the same cloth when I say this. Like, all right, cool. 2025 was awesome. Patted us on the back. We enjoyed it for a few days. We talked. That's great. Now it's like, what's up for the next goal, right? So, somebody asked me the other day, like, when's enough going to be enough? Like, when are you going to stop setting the goal? Think about it. 1.1 billion from 2025's goal is 600 million. That's almost double year over year. And we haven't not hit those goals, since we started. So, being partnered up with you and looking forward to the future, this is the first year I've gone into the business. I didn't go into it in 2025 where I sat back and reflected over the last couple of weeks. It's slow at the end of December. I take some time off and you start reflecting on the things that you accomplished and what you didn't really do well. And then when you can identify the things you haven't done well and you concentrate on those going forward, I think that this is the best I felt going into a year with the support, the operations staff, the sales staff. Dude, some of the young guns that we have on the team, I mean, I don't want to call anybody out, but you got the Jacob Ashworth, the Jared Methias, these guys, Rose, they're just getting started. You mix that up with a Steve White and a Rob Serpa who are, already in the high 20 millions. Their goals are in the 50s this year, right? Every once in a while, you have to, poke yourself and say, is this real life? Like I remember talking to a recruit yesterday on the phone down in Texas, and he's like, how long you guys been in business? I'm like, we're coming up on 7 years in March. Did you? And then he said something. He's like, was this always the plan? I'm like, no, the plan was 7 years ago, me and Craig were going to sit on 77 State Road in Dartmouth. We're going to do $100 million. I thought I was going to just be the only $100 million producer. And then Craig comes out, he's a $100 million guy. And then what ends up happening is you attract people to the culture, to the way. Everybody wants to know how successful people are doing it. And then when they do actually come over and join, they realize there's no secret sauce. There's nothing special about what we're doing here at Milestone other than the culture, the ops. So I guess it is special because not everybody's doing it, but it's just hard work, consistency, communication, accountability. These are all like cliche words that people throw around all the time. You're on Instagram, you say the word accountability. Next thing you know, your reels all popped up with that. But if you really break it down, you're one of the most consistent and you hold yourself accountable. Like I've never walked in your office and I'm like, Craig, what did you do today? Like, no, it just never happens. And I think we finally have the crew around us, right? Like the core group, even a lot of the newer people, the younger studs that we've brought in that some of them haven't even closed $3 million in their career yet. And in my head, and we've talked about it, I'm pegging these guys to do 15 to 20 million in the first year. That's a crazy number when you start looking around at the competition that we have in Washington and Texas and Florida and Massachusetts and the markets that we're really strong in. That's like a really good loan officer in a lot of states. If you're a really good loan officer, if you're doing 15 or $20 million, right? Pretty consistently. But we never stop. And I think that's, the big differentiator at Milestone is we just don't stop. Like, I was on the phone today with Bobby Z on our coaching call. He doesn't have he's in a hyper-focused zone right now where he wants to hit 50 million, 60 million, right? He's got that taste of success. He's had a great fourth quarter and he just wants to keep rolling that into, the Q1 of 2026. And honestly, it gets me super excited, right? Just to see how many people are in the office. First week into the new year, office is jamming. Ops people are all happy. Everybody's grinding. We're still closing loans at the same pace we were 3 months ago. I can't be more happy with where we are as a company and as a culture and the people that we've all surrounded ourselves with, right? Like there's not one person that I walk into the office and I'm like, ugh, I wish I didn't have to see them today, right? Like we've been there. We're like, in our early days, we're not going to say any names because, maybe we have 3 or 4 followers at this point. There were days where you're like, oh, I can't wait to not hear that voice for 12 hours. What time do you guys have to go? All right, everybody leave early today, 4 o'clock. And then we work until 9 o'clock, peace and quiet. But 2026, it's just going to be another year, but it's going to be another year of like growth and opportunity. And, I'm excited. Even the new guy that we just added to Team Snell, Max. I mean, I met Max in the most unusual way I've ever found a potential. We'll say potential because he hasn't closed a loan yet. Loan officer. I was my son's into sports cards collecting, which we'll get into, maybe later on. But he was set up he was one of the vendors at a sports card. Him and his 2 or 3 of his buddies. We started talking. He just graduated from West Virginia University with a business degree. He couldn't find a job. He's like, I've applied everywhere, nothing. I said, hey, give me a call on Monday. Here's my contact info at 12 o'clock. That guy did not call me at 11:59. He didn't call me at 12:01. At 12 o'clock, my phone rang, and that's when I knew. I was like, all right, this kid knows how to tell time. That's a first good sign. And, he's just onboarded. But, you can tell he's got the drive. He's just got that little it factor where he wants to work, he wants to learn, right? Too many times, we get away from, and I've gotten away from it. I'm looking for people who want to learn. The more you learn, the more you earn, right? When you start thinking like that, look at where you were. You were like a sponge when you came in. I talk to people all the time, like, dude, you're not going to be Craig Snell. Like, get that out of your head. I tell people this all the time, like, yes, can you do 100 million? But go sit with Craig for a week, a month, and see what he does, how he's grinding every single day. Do you have that dedication? Do you have that accountability? Do you have that consistency? Anybody, we have loan officers here who can have a great quarter. Can you have a great half of the year? Now, can you put that into a great year? What you're doing is almost unprecedented in our business, right? You're going on, was it 6 years, 100 million plus that you've done? That's 6 years of doing $100 million. And now you set your goals at, 150 to 200 million for next year and just keep growing that. How many people do you think woke up and decided to write their goals down going into 2026 and they said, I'm going to do $100 million? And they have a track record of doing 50 or 75. There's not a lot of loan officers out there, right? So, one of the things that we talk about is, year over year growth. And, I looked at the end of year numbers. We have like 20 loan officers that all went and did 25% more business than they did the year before. That's wild to me. There was nothing special about 2025 for everybody watching. Interest rates did not go down. The market didn't free up. There wasn't an immense amount of inventory. It was just a pretty standard kind of run-of-the-mill type year. A lot of people say it was a down year. But to see that many loan officers all increase their business year over year, even somebody that did the same amount or 10%, that's a great year if that was your goal, right? And that's what we talk about a lot here.
Yeah, I think that, that's one of the things that we do a great job at here is taking somebody that has maybe plateaued, somewhere else and kind of giving them that kick in the ass that they need to kind of push them and showing them. And when you're around a bunch of people who are all hitting their goals or all increasing their business and, it's all about market share. There's only so many people buying houses. There are only so many people that want to refinance. You have to just go get more market share. You have to go get more business one way or another. You're not going to, rates aren't going to drop tomorrow and you can just sit back and get fat and lazy and just hope that people call you to refinance. You have to go and work one way or the other. And it's so many people I find in this business kind of like take a while to get going, start getting going. They get some business and then they kind of like, they don't know how to push it to that next level, or they forget some of the things that they did that got them that business and they just kind of get complacent with it. And here, I think that, across the board, you have everybody, the person next to you, the person on that call doing what they're saying or doing what we're saying to do, and they're succeeding and they're getting bigger commission checks. They're closing more business and it can drive you. And, the kid, Max, that you brought on, he reminds me of me when I first started. And there's not a lot of people because, we were just talking about what we're going to expect. And this is something new for us. I very rarely have ever brought somebody on as like a brand new loan officer and like a team structure. I haven't really, probably since Eric, I haven't really had somebody on my team really as like a loan officer, but going over like the tasks that he's going to do. And he's just sitting there and he's hungry and he wants to do it and he's going to go. Yeah. It's like it's exciting, feeling. And I think that'll be a big piece of this year for us with our team, trying to hopefully hit 200 million, and break that. I think the closest, probably around 150 million was the most ever, back in 2021 or so, somewhere around there. But to get to 200 million is a big push. And, you can't do it all alone. No. You can't generate all the business yourself. So having some people that are going to be in place to do some of those little things that I would say I don't necessarily have the time for or the drive to do anymore, like some of those things we were talking about. But I think that's like a huge piece that's missing. So figuring it out. And, if you are that loan officer that's hit a certain plateau, figuring out, well, where can you get help? Like I always went on more ops, like help wise, like what can I take off my plate that way? But then at a certain point, there's only so much that you can do or time or, quality of life that you end up, you make all this money. And it's like, you want to enjoy it a little bit too. So you got to figure out that balance a little bit, but having him there where he's young, he's hungry, getting out there and doing those open houses, getting out there and calling those cold call leads that isn't fun for anybody to call. But, it's exciting to him. And, when he lands that first one, he's going to be excited. He's going to want to do it more and more and more. And I think adding him and maybe looking at adding a few more people to the team this year will really help get it there.
I mean, the thing with Max was when I met him at the thing, he was confident, but he was driven. You could just see it. He had that sparkle in his eye. He had that go get it done now. Like you can just see, like if I told him right now he had to go and call 2,000 people by 4:00, it's literally impossible to do. He's going to try his best to do it. He might not succeed more than likely, but he's going to do it. And that's really what we're looking for. We're really just out there looking for, if you haven't been in the mortgage business and you want to give it a run, you have to have that type of, kind of mindset. We talk about a lot about mindset here at Milestone, but he's definitely got he's got a rare attribute.
You have to have a self-drive.
Yeah.
You have to want to be good at it. You can't just, I don't think you can just look at it as like, I want to make a lot of money, because the money's going to come if you're good, but you have to have that drive of, I want to be really good at this, then the money's going to come. And I think that was always like the mindset I had in the beginning. Wasn't necessarily about making money. I wanted to make money, but like, it wasn't what my driving, it wasn't like, oh, I made this much last month, I want to make this much more. Mine was like, I did this many loans, I want to do this many more, because I wanted to be the best at it, and I wanted to have that drive to just continue to do more. And it was like a competition where, you never want to, and I think in the beginning with being such a sponge, I wanted to know and be confident when I was talking to somebody. You don't want to be in a situation where you're trying to talk to somebody about a massive financial decision and you're falling all over the place and you're not sure. And, then you just get better at it and better at it over time, and get more at bats is like the most important thing. So, if you're thinking about coming to this business or want to get into it, I think we've already said this, like you have to get under somebody that is going to help to do it, but you also have to have that drive yourself, because, and I think this is why I got away from it and I was talking to Max actually earlier about this, because he was like, hey man, I really appreciate this opportunity. I'm like, yeah, no worries. I go, honestly, I haven't done this in a while. He's like, why? I go, I just felt like they got in my way. And I was so driven that I wanted to just do what I needed to do and always like control the whole thing, that I never really took the time. Like, I know I didn't take as much time as I should over there, to try to help them with it. And I just wasn't in a position ready to do it at that time. But, if you can find somebody that does have that, but you have to be very self-driven. Like if he's self-driven and he pushes himself, it's going to make me want to put more time into him. If he's not self-driven he's like, hey, well, if Craig's not going to give me anything to do, I'm just going to chill here and talk to somebody, or I'm going to leave early and go, down the street with everybody and grab a drink. You think that I'm going to want to spend a lot of time with you? Yeah. Probably not. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It takes the right person to join a team and have that drive. And one of the things that you said earlier was you were driven at the time when you were getting into the business of just wanting to do more units. It wasn't about the money. You're still there, right? Like you just said that and it made me think, well, why are we now looking to add, that junior loan officer type spot? Because you've realized I can do 120 plus million every year pretty consistently, 6 years in a row, 120 million, great. You can have that breakout year, 150 market, you have a couple things go on. But how do you do 200, this year? 300, 400 million?
Yeah.
You need to start scaling it and taking off some of those responsibilities and training the people under you. But most importantly, we talked about this on one of the last episodes, is that work-life balance, right? Like, and there's no such thing as work-life balance, right? Like, I'm not a big fan of saying that, but at the same time, like, I feel like you have to prioritize, like we talked about, sports with your kids. Like, now we can start building a team around you. They can start doing some of those things, and you have your weekends freed up from doing open houses. Like, open houses are super important. But when you're there and you have, 3, 4, 5 kids, whatever, people watching this have, you need to make time for them, right? So now it's like, hey guys, we're going to share in the wealth. You're going to be on the team. You go do some of these things. We've already done it, right? Like that's what I try to explain to people that are getting in this business. And I have one loan officer pops in my head. I'm not going to say his name, Jacob. I feel like he was scared. He was timid. And he had a great year. He crossed over 15 million this year. He's starting to come out of his shell, right? So he's going to get there, but it takes time, right? It took time for him. So somebody like, hopefully, we don't know. It could be a complete wash here. We don't want to blow him up. But you see somebody like yourself when you came into the business. It took me like about, I don't know. We went on, one meeting when I first met you, and the next morning I woke up and I'm like, and kid's going to do as much loans as he possibly wants. He's going to kill it. You just get that sense, that vibe. Like they want to learn. They're super driven. And in the back of my head, I'm like, as soon as this guy starts cracking checks where I know what he can earn, the sky's the limit, because at that point, you got into this business to make a little bit of extra money, but then you feel that sense of success of helping homeowners achieve the greatest purchase that they're going to make. That, they buy a house and they make it a home. You help them achieve that goal. That's always been one of the top priorities for me. And as I got in this business and then the crash came. I was helping people save their homes and do loan modifications, and I wasn't making any money, but I learned a lot. I had at-bats just the wrong way. I wasn't making any money. But that helped me down the road build that business, because I helped hundreds of homeowners do loan modifications, save their house from going to foreclosure, go through a bankruptcy process and kind of coach them through that. Those are the type of things that are driven by top producers. There's very rarely do you see a top producer doing 75 to 200 plus million, and they're like, the only thing I care about is my paycheck. No, like they're on the phone with.
They're never going to hit that number. I mean, no. I'll tell you a story about a conversation I had yesterday, and Pearl was sitting. For anybody who doesn't know, Pearl's on our team. She's one of our LOAs, and she always sits in when I have these conversations with clients. She takes notes so it can speed me up, so I don't have to go and do it. So delegating, but the borrower called about, pretty much under contract rate shopping. And he already had a really good deal. At best we could match it. And I spent some time talking to him. The guy was really nice, had a bunch of questions about some different things. I spent probably 25, 30 minutes talking to this guy. And at the end of it, like I knew probably 5 minutes in that, we weren't going to do the loan. Like he was already pretty committed with his own bank. He was getting just as good of a deal or not better from the bank that he's currently already with. But he had some other questions because, he hears things like, what's the difference between a broker, like a Rocket Mortgage type of place or like a bank, what's the advantages? So I spent 30 minutes going over it, answering some questions, helping him out on some things. And he, at the end of the call, he was like, I can't believe you just spent 25 minutes talking to me about this when you knew like pretty much right away that we weren't going to do anything, but you spent 25 minutes. I learned more talking to you that in this call than I have ever learned from anybody that I've ever talked to. And this guy's probably talked to 5 or 6 different places trying to shop for this mortgage. And I spent that time with him. And I even told him at the end, before he even said this, I said, listen, when you get, because there was one other place he was talking to and they weren't answering him back, but he was like, sounded like a too good to be true kind of a thing. And I said, listen, if you can get a hold of him, they get it to you. You have my email, send me the email with the loan estimate. I'll look at it. I'll let you know if there's anything that's not right, yeah. Or, if it's a good deal or not. He's like, really? You do that? I go, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm here to help you. Listen, you may not use me right now, but you may use me down the line, or you may have somebody that will. And he was so happy about it. And then Pearl, when we got off the phone, Pearl's like, that's why you're the best. She goes, nobody would spend that much time talking to somebody and trying to help them when you're not going to make any money. And it's not always about the money. It's literally like, it's about helping people and trying to, do the best that you can to help them. And I think when you have that kind of an attitude with any situation or a scenario that you get put into, you're going to succeed because people feel that. Yeah. And like what I did before was helping people, but it was a little bit different. And it wasn't like a measured thing. I think like what's nice about this is like, it's very measured. You can measure how many loans you did. You can measure how many closings you had. You can measure, the amount in loan volume that you did, and you can gauge and you can compare. Can't really compare that, somewhere else. So I think that's like what really like helped to drive me, because it was like you're helping people, but also there's like a measure side of it that you can kind of look back at and be like, oh wow, I did this much. I mean, like my first year in the bit, we got in started in March in 2019. Yep. And I think it did 35 million my first year, 60 million my second year. And then after that, it was over 100 million after that. But it was like my attitude has never changed with people.
No, that's while you're telling me that story, I'm having a flashback to, everybody that knows me pretty well knows I do not have the greatest memory in the world. It's very short term. Like as soon as it's over, I think it's actually a strength of mine, because I can't remember. Like if you did me wrong or you said something crazy, I let it's in and out. But going back to my sophomore year at UMass Amherst basketball camp with one of my best friends, Matt Brown, shout out to Matty. We're out there with Coach Calipari, John Calipari, hashtag Calipari on this podcast. We're all sitting in the gym after a long day at camp. And he's like, how many of you guys open the door and look behind you to see if you can hold the door for the next person up? Not a lot of hands went up. And I had no idea. I was a sophomore. And he's like, if I ever see any of you guys not hold the door for somebody behind you, and it's like a little old lady or an old man, that's the type of person you are. When no one's looking, are you doing the right thing? Like, no one was watching you, right? Like, you spend, and you do this consistently. That was not just one isolated case. I've heard you on the phone, and I'm like, who was that? You're like, somebody who's thinking about buying a house in like 9 months. I'm like, you just spent 45 minutes, 30 minutes on the phone with somebody who's thinking about buying a house. They're not really sure. They're in a get ready type situation. But you've always been like that, right? I mean, going back to that, you do stuff to help other people when no one's watching. You're not going to get a loan number out of it. You're not going to make any money. It's just all about doing the right thing. And that's, that's one of the things I love about you the most, right? I know for a fact that you do the right thing for people with no one looking. There's a lot of things that I find out about, and I'm like, wait, Greg did that? And I'm like, I think that, and I'm not going to give it away. I'm not going to give a lot of it away, but there's a lot of things that I hear 2 months, 5 months, a year down the road. And I'm like, wow, I would have done that same thing. I'm like, good for Craig. Like, they went to him and, he stepped up. He did the right thing. Sometimes, doing the right thing turns out to be the wrong thing sometimes. You're like kind of second guess it, but you did the right thing and you feel good about it. And I think that's one of the big things that I try to teach my kids and instill them. Like, think about how that other person feels when you held the door for that lady, or even if it's a young kid behind you. If you held the door for them, all I'm trying to do is make sure that kid learns to hold the door for the next person, because I could be like, I'm 47 now. I feel like I might need somebody to open all the doors for me in about 2 minutes, right? So it just, do the right thing when people aren't watching. I mean, I struggle with this with my son all the time. Like, dude,
I think that's like the biggest, like, if everyone, I don't know if anybody's ever asked you, like, how do you feel like the world is today versus before? And I always like jokingly talk to my wife about this. And I'm like, I wish I was born like 60 years ago, 70 years ago, just because I feel like people were better then. Like, there was a lot more of the people that were going to hold the door, the people that were just going to do the right thing because, helping your neighbors. It's like, most people don't even know their neighbors anymore. They don't talk to them. It's like, if my neighbor called me and needed something, I'd go over there in 2 seconds to help them. After people, like, they're like more wanting to cause a fight or problem or, worried about some crazy. I'm like, this world needs more people that just are trying to do the right thing. And if everybody stopped, looking out for just themselves all the time and started to try to just do the right thing when nobody's looking, or do the right thing just in life in general and how you go about it, this entire world would be a lot better.
I mean, it's wild. I see you do it. I do it all the time. It's like, you see some people outside getting a coffee and, they're ordering their Danish, and I see them like, going through their, I'm like, hey, don't worry about it. I got it. Right. Like, what did you, I don't know how it made them feel like that. Great. I feel good about doing it. And then they're going to go pay it forward, hopefully, if they can. Right. But like, it's small things like that. I mean, I wish, going back to that, I've never thought about that, for going back and being born 60 years ago. That's very, it's very deep right there. But I just feel like, we just came out of the holidays. We're talking about this. We're at the beginning of January. Can you imagine if the entire country, the entire world acted like they do between like December 10th and December 27th, where everybody's giving back, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, saying hi, holding doors, like taking care of your neighbor, buying somebody a coffee, paying for somebody's dinner. Like, I mean, it makes me feel like I joke around. Me and my wife used to we used to call it like senior citizen dinner time. We'd go to dinner at like 4:30, 5 o'clock when she was pregnant with Liam at Cape Quality Seafood on Dartmouth Street in Dartmouth. And there would only be at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, because we were old back then still, a bunch of older people. And we were like, wow, this is really cool. There's a bunch of old people all having dinner. There's like a senior citizen home across the way or whatever. But then you start really feeling bad and like seeing the future of yourself, right? Like, God forbid we get to that point. I hope I go before my wife, because I don't know if I could survive without her. But you see like old men, old women having dinner now by themselves. And I remember my wife being like, hey, let's go sit with that guy. And I'm like, I was a little like shot off by that. I'm like, okay. And then he was like super happy about it. Like, it made his day. And I'm like, damn, like if I ever walk into a restaurant, I see like a 70-year-old person sitting by themselves, I'm just going to go ask if I can sit with them, buy him like dinner. That probably just made that guy's week. Now, can you imagine if everybody did that and they just acted the way they did for 10 or 15 days year round? Like, how much nicer everybody would be around. It's wild.
It's insane. Like, I don't know. It drives me nuts. Like, when you just see all this crazy hate and negativity all the time, it's like, it's a cancer. Like, I literally think it's become such a massive cancer in this country, especially. And I'm not very political at all, but I mean, people just need to figure out this. I always think back to this, like, and I was young when this happened, but when 9/11 happened, this country's probably never been stronger after, because everybody came together and everybody had like the camaraderie was like insane. Like everybody was a lot nicer for a while. And then eventually over time it fades and you forget, like, I think people just have this sense of like, they forget what it's like or it could be. And they just get so comfortable and they have nothing else to do besides just be miserable and unhappy. And I'm like, what are you so unhappy about?
Dude, it's so true. Like, how often do people just sit back and feel like they're the luckiest humans that have ever been born to live in the United States of America?
At this time when things are so easy.
Like, it's wild to me. Like, you know, you sit there and you watch other countries, and, you know, I'm not getting into politics. You got Gaza in the Middle East, and now you got stuff going on in Venezuela. I have no idea about all that, but it's like, would you want to live there? Like, I look at my kids, like, you know, my daughter just yesterday, her friends are starting to get Snapchat. And I'm like, I'm not ready for Snapchat.
Yeah, meltdown about not having it.
She's having a straight meltdown about Snapchat. And I just looked at my wife and I was like, can you imagine, like, if we lived in like Gaza right now? Like, you don't even know where your parents are. Like, they might not even be alive right now. But then you walk down the street, like you're saying, and everybody's just mad and sad. Like, it takes so much more energy to frown than to smile. Like, so many more muscles it takes to be sad and pissed off all the time than just be happy. Like, I don't care. Somebody said, you know, who was it the other day? It was, you know, we're talking, Andy Bowman, we're talking about like cars and stuff. And I'm like, I don't really care if somebody took my car, if they got in a car. Like, I want everybody to be safe, but like, listen, if they sideswipe something, I don't care.
Not that big of a deal.
Listen, I don't want anybody's health to be affected. Like, I want the people I love and everybody to be healthy and happy.
People let like the littlest thing ruin their entire day.
It's wild. It's absolutely insane. I can't believe we just spent an entire episode of Mortgage Daddies not even really talking about mortgages, other than a little recap of 2025. That was awesome.
Needed a little break.
Little break from the mortgage world.
But it was good. But no, I'm happy. I'm really happy. I think life's been really good for us and for our company. And, you know, I think 2026 is going to be even better, and looking forward to it. Wish you guys a happy new year.
Happy New Year's.